Hi and welcome to Family Life, a Catholic Vision. I am Tricia Syms, Executive Coordinator at the Family Life Commission, your new presenter for the show tonight. I work at the Family Life Commission, as I said, and I'm happy to be here to present the show with you tonight. Tonight, our topic is family and school, an interesting topic, especially for ones who have children, parents, and teachers, principals, and so on. Our presenter tonight is Father Gabriel Julien, and a retired principal and educator. Good night, Father Julien, and welcome.
Good night. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be here.
Good. So tonight, Father, we're going to be talking about family and school.
Yeah.
What are some of your opening remarks with respect to family and school?
Well, one can say plenty. I think when I hear family and school, what comes to mind is that holistic approach, one complementing the other. So it is not just the family alone or the school, but both, one complementing each other. I think school is very, very important because it gives students that opportunity to maximize, to become. Again, too, school is important because it's a process. It's not just 1 year in school or 2 or 3. You finish the first set, 5 years in primary, then you go on to secondary, then you go on to tertiary, and you go on and on and on. So school then is a place of learning. Now, later on we will qualify the learning, because learning is not just the academic. You have the social and, of course, Catholic school, the religious. So I am very intrigued by this school and, of course, family, because sometimes, you have family and they're struggling, they really don't know what to do, how to move, and the school now would help them with coping skills by molding, shaping, and forming their children, and of course having outreach programs for parents as well, so they are given that opportunity to be intimately involved in the education of their children.
Yes. I remember I read this quote, among all educational instruments, the school has special importance, as it is the principal assistance to parents in fulfilling the function of education. When I read that, I thought of a couple of years ago, school for Easter time, it closed on Holy Thursday. And I remember at the school where my children attend, the principal did the washing of the feet of 12 boys at the school. And I remember how, when we went to Mass later that evening, Holy Thursday, how interested the children were. Because Sir had done it at school, they became even more interested at Mass, when Father did the washing of the feet. So I see, it's the principal assistance to parents in fulfilling the function of education. I think if we are able to work hand in hand and together, we can accomplish so much as school and family. What are your thoughts?
Well, yes, because again, the school, the learning instrument, that engine, but we need the parents now to support. You see, if the parents don't support, well, then you're there alone, like John the Baptist crying out in the wilderness, right? And a very good example, as you say, the children were more enthused, they were alert, and when they went to church, to look at the washing of the feet. Again, too, in school, I remember when I used to go to school many years ago, what Miss said, what Sir said, and you're going by what they said, right? And they inculcated in us values, morals, had prayers, doctrine, and you're anxious, you're eager to go to school. In fact, staying home when you see holidays, those 8 weeks were sometimes very, very heavy and boring. So I agree, yes, that school is really very, very important. And moreover, the family needs to also be very, very involved. So don't just leave it for the school and you drop your child at school and you pick up the child at 3 o'clock. No, you drop the child and you get yourself involved in all activities that this school will have, academic as well as what we may consider to be non-academic.
Non-academic, right. So it went to an interesting family, the Batiste family, Joseph and Simone Batiste, and their 6 children. And so we're going to talk now. We're going to hear from them. We're going to hear from the children about their perspective on school and what, how they view school and so on. So we'll now go to that clip where we look at the children talking about the joys and the challenges of school.
For me, the joys of school, besides your friends and stuff, is that when you enter secondary school, right, it's a new environment, and then when you reach like Form 3 and stuff, and you choose your subjects, then you really start to do what you want to do, right, and it's a totally different experience. And another thing with school for me is the community life in my school itself. How everybody will come together and work as one. Like, it's encourage you to go to school. It doesn't make school boring and dreary, as some people will call it. Like, I can wake up on a morning and know that I have X, Y, and Z to do, and I'll be happy to do it. Like, that I want to go to school to do that. Some of the challenges of school, as you go higher up in forms, is the workload. It gets much heavier. You have to manage lessons and finding your time to read ahead, do past papers, and do homework and all that. And you have to find a balance between that, and sometimes it's cause people stress. But for me personally, I play my guitar, so whenever I get stressed, I would play my guitar or listen to music or try to work on some song or something like that to take my mind off the pressure of school and, well, not looking at the clock too. Because when I look at the clock and think about how much work I have to get done, then I tend to procrastinate to do it. So when I don't look at it, I get it done without any problems or anything like that.
Yeah, so that was Ariane. She's the eldest girl in the family.
Joys and challenges of school, yeah.
Of school, right.
And I like all that theme, because when we think of school, it is not just only joys. And we have to understand that. Parents need to understand that it's not all rosy in school all the time. Your children do have their challenges.
Yeah.
I was quite happy to hear her mention it teaches them about being responsible. And then she spoke about that bond of friendship. So in school then you're given that opportunity to work along with each other. And let us not undervalue that. You know how difficult it is for us as adults to work with people. I don't want to be in that group. I prefer this. I don't like this. And yet, but when you put young people together and you put them there and you say, look, come up with a plan, come up with this. They are very, very resilient and they are able then to work in groups. And I find that helps to form them to become better people and better parents so that they too can complement and support school children when their time comes along.
Yes, when she talked about friends, I have friends from when I went to St. France, so we still interact with each other, even though some of us live abroad, some of them live abroad and so on. We still interact with each other. So friends is really, a big part of school. And the community life of school. There's a dynamic that you get in school that you don't get anywhere else, I know a lot of times when you're small, you want to be big and you want to come out of school. But school life is something that you wouldn't get back, And I try to tell, especially my little son, he's 20, even though he's just 8. Mommy, when am I going to be doing this? Mommy, when am I going to be doing that, But I said, take your time. Right now you're in school, just enjoy
life,
this time. Enjoy this time.
Yeah.
And, he talks about his friends, the 2 friends that he has and so on. So in terms of the joys, I remember my own school life and the things we used to do, walking down from St. Francois to get the bus and all the people, the boys we encounter along the way and the friends that you make along the way in the bus stop and so on. So that, the joys of school is a real support.
Exactly.
During
and
school
the
time.
clip there mention was made we are given the opportunity to choose subjects. And
Yes.
not only, I would imagine not only subject, but you can make choice. So that discerning process starts. I am in Form 3, I need to choose subjects. And what do I do? How do I choose? Then the parent comes in. So you, in dialogue with your parent, you say, Mommy, Daddy, this is what I would like to pursue. These are the subjects that are offered at school. What are your suggestions? So you have that dialogue, you have that, interaction with parent, student, and then you go to the teacher. And all come in and they, in that melting pot. So it's very, very interesting, the hub of activities.
But while they are the joys, there are the challenges. And as she mentioned, the lessons, I have a son in SCA. Oh my, the lessons and the and the homework, the amount of homework, and I know a lot of parents are facing that as well, especially, but it's at all stages, but in particular as you prepare for SCA and for CXC and so on, trying to balance and help children to distress. What can you say about that, Father, helping children to distress?
Well. Now, when you're in school, every teacher gives homework and every teacher expects that the work would be done. What is the stress? I think perhaps it's the inability sometimes to cope with this volume of work. It overwhelms you that you have a deadline Thursday and you haven't been doing your work. What perhaps could be done is, in conjunction with the parent, I'm thinking of the small ones in primary school, sit, discuss, let your parent know, look, this is really bothering me, this is burdening me, I can't deal with it. And based on that dialogue, perhaps a plan could take place. Perhaps you push the children a bit too much.
I remember yesterday, Chris was having some trouble with his comprehension, and I said to him, let's talk it out. Talk out the comprehension, let me hear you, and let's answer the questions, talk out the answers instead of writing it. And at the end, he said, Mommy, that helped me, it built up my confidence. Just spending that time, on a Sunday, I just said, oh Lord, another comprehension again. But I said, now is the time, and it's my responsibility to help him along the way, So the challenges are real. And sometimes it's difficult because of the whole exams and so on to balance, because you want the children to be successful, but successful, there are different ways that you can be successful.
Well, sometimes you just have to close the book and say, look, let's go to the park, let's go in the beach, let's go, young people like a little pizza and chicken and chips. Let's go and as it were, free up ourselves. Just get your mind free. Or, I shouldn't say, in addition, we say, look, let us go to church and put it into the hands of the Master himself. You go and make your vigil, make your prayers, teach children. When work is overwhelming, you have the social outlet, sure, you talk it out. Let us also go and present this to Almighty God.
Right. So we're going to look again with the Batiste family, the challenges with homework, and, the parents' perspective now. We're going to hear what the parents have to say with respect to the homework. So let's look.
Challenges. I think for me as a parent, some of the challenges I experience is, one, we have quite a few. So sometimes, there are many assignments taking place. Some people will have projects, they will need things, and not all the time, I'll be honest, I remember, I don't really keep a note or a journal of things that people need to get for assignments. So keeping on top of that is a little difficult. The kids on a whole, generally, they are responsible. So they will, by and large, be on top of what they have to do. And therefore, that makes it a lot easier. So we don't really have many challenges. With exams, we have 6 ranging from 16 to 6. So we have had 3 that have gone through the SEA system, and they have coped with it really well. The 2-year program, well, when I say really well, we had challenges with some emotions, in dealing with the exams. But in terms of the workload was fairly okay. And having them do the exam intermittently, I have one in Form 5, one in 3, one in 1. So therefore, the bigger ones will help and assist in whatever way, because it will be fresh in their minds. We have one.
When one is doing the exam, trust me, we're all doing it. And that's a great challenge, because I work long, demanding hours, and Simone is the one who is really on the road, up and down, juggling between the activities and schoolwork. I will always try to assist, but my assistance tends to be with some of the more manual type of things. Get this, do that, but getting everything coordinated, getting it done on time, getting it to the standard. The children, I'll give them their credit. They all really focused on doing well. They understand that doing well is important, and they really do their best. So,
when one child is doing the exam, the entire family is doing the exam. Oh, I can identify with that right now. Chris is doing SEA, and everybody is doing SEA
mode.
SEA mode. When we're doing the grammar, Johan wants to correct it, and Raymond is there helping out with the comprehension and the creative writing. So we are all doing the exam. I can identify with that right now in my own life.
Well, that may sound as an ideal situation, but you would have situations where family may not want to.
They may not have the support. They may not have the parents who may understand and so on. And I've talked to parents and seeing, being in the school system with the whole preparation for the CAC and so on, the implementation of the CAC as a component in SEA, I realized that if you don't have that, if a child doesn't have the support of somebody at home to help him or her, it's going to be a lot more difficult for that child.
Now that support is crucial, and let us not undervalue that. Your physical presence is of great importance. You may not know the subject area. We don't expect parents to know every subject area, but you're sitting there with your child and they're doing the work and you are there, and I think that, to me, it motivates, it spurs you on. I remember, I have some age, but when I was small, years ago, I remember sitting down and doing work, and my mother was right there, half the time falling asleep, but she's there, and you would ask a question, Mommy, is so-and-so? Poor thing, old lady, but put this, put that, and you putting it down because she said so. And most of the times they were correct, but I remember her sitting up every night while we are doing homework. So that physical presence.
And I know sometimes when I'm there, sometimes I'm on the computer, and he would say to me, Mommy, you're not listening. Mommy, you're not there. You're here, but you're not here. You're on the computer there, you're on Facebook.
You have to be attending.
You have to be attentive. So it's not just being there, but being attentive too, for
this
questions.
hour, this is for you. I am sitting, and I'm not just sitting in a passive way. I'm looking to make sure, supervising. I'm getting myself involved as much as possible, keeping in mind that some of the work may be beyond some parents. They may not know and understand it. But you are there to energize and encourage them. Not as a policeman with a big baton, but you're there to perhaps give them a little refreshment, take a little 5 now, take a little 10 minutes now, to, as we say, to de-stress.
To de-stress.
So you're doing it in a harmonious way, creating that peace and love that really unites family together.
Yes. And the challenges with emotions, I know sometimes it's not so much their emotions, but it's my emotions. Oh gosh, another project, another assignment. It's like, it's just too much coming all at the same time, And sometimes when I am calm and cool, I think they feed off of us. When we are another project? Okay, what do you need for this project? No, they're trying to be okay, but in your mind you're thinking, Lord, another one? But when are they going to correct all these projects, So, challenges with emotions sometimes is more, trying to balance my emotions and calm myself, so that I wouldn't pass on the stress onto them. Yes.
But the emotions are part of life, even the Master himself. In interacting with the apostles, how much longer must I put up with you all? Right? Jesus in Gethsemane, where are you? He went to them once, twice. Are you still asleep? What's happening? I selected you, I called you, I chose you. Well, look like I made a bad choice. So we don't want to be desperate. We throw up ourselves in with emotions. So because children need to know as parents their emotions as well. But we are able then to move forward.
Right. And another point that was raised, the children are responsible, you know, and what I have found is that, you know, in the night when they come home and you say it's homework time, sometimes they might say, oh gosh, mommy, can we ride, can we play a little football? But at a certain time, it's time to come in and, you know, do your work. So that takes time, you know, it doesn't happen, children don't just become responsible. It takes a routine to make, you know, a child responsible. And, you know, Joseph said that as he, you know, he said he had to give the children that as credit, that they are responsible and, you know, listen and so on. So we're going to look again at the whole aspect of prayer and the religious aspect and the involvement in other activities, because it's not just about academics, it's about a holistic development of the child. I think that's what the school, certainly the Catholic school, is trying to accomplish in their raising of children in school life. So we're going to look now at the family as they talk about their involvement in the children's involvement in other activities, the importance of prayer in the family, and the challenge of finding time to pray as a family as well. So we're going to look at that now.
Spirituality. To me, that's really important. I mean, it's well known that there's a saying that a rising tide lifts every boat. Jimmy made fun of, he mentioned the amount of work that I have to do and the hours I spend behind it. And I'm aware of it, and I'm aware that I'm in a demanding position. And so I must be able to plug into something every day that'll be my rising tide. And once I can rise, I know the rest of the family will rise with me. So for me, that's where prayer comes in. I pray over my wife almost every morning. She's fast asleep, and I will pray over her. But I do it. I do it, and I bless the children before I send them off. Really, because that is going to be their juice. That's going to be their fuel for the day. Whether they know it or not, I think the spirituality and God is always at work. And you know, I really want them to be successful, not just the education, but their experiences and exposure to. And so I want God to work in their lives to help them recognize the experiences, help them to appreciate the things they have. And so those prayers, I will always ask for His grace and His peace on them every day.
And, you know, we will try to institute, you know, Rosary Fridays. But as the family grows and the demands come along and people have different activities that they get involved in, trying to find a specific time for family prayer is challenging. So Sunday morning Mass is a constant. It has remained a constant, and it will forever be a constant. So we do have Sunday morning Mass, and we have some of the children that now serve in church. They serve as altar servers, they serve in youth groups, some at executive level, some just as members, they serve in school. We have also, you know, introduced and we have brought home here the Pilgrim Virgin, we have brought home the vocational cup. So we have exposed them to different aspects of prayer. Not only prayer in the church, prayer as a community with other families, prayer here as in we pray for the needs of specific things. And even in the morning, as we travel in the car, you know, they will say, you know, but we say the same things every morning. But that's okay, because, you know, it's consistent and it's almost like automatic. So we get into the car, those who are traveling, and what we encourage them to do is that once we have them all in the car, we ask somebody to offer what we call a special prayer. The morning Mass is a constant. It has remained a constant, and it will forever be a constant. So we do have Sunday morning Mass, and we have some of the children that now serve in church. They serve as altar servers, they serve in youth groups, some at executive level, some just as members, they serve in school. We have also, you know, introduced and we have brought home here the Pilgrim Virgin. We have brought home
parents' work schedule. I could have identified with, you know, with the father when he talked about the parents' work schedule. Sometimes, you know, our schedule sometimes just don't seem to mesh, and sometimes with the children's schedule. But what I am learning is that we have to make it mesh. So some things we will have to cut out so that, you know, the children can benefit. And I know sometimes I have to get to work earlier so I can leave at a particular time in order to spend that extra time, which I know is only for a time, with Chris as he prepares for the SCA, you know. What can you say about that, Father, and parents' work schedule and school?
Well, it is something that we really have to, well, parents have to give a priority to. No, just say it. You really have to give proper attention to children. As we mentioned earlier on, it's not just a matter of you're there, but you're on the computer, you're on the phone. This hour, this time is for you, and I am there, so that they can see you are actively engaged in their schoolwork, in their prayer, in their sport, whatever it is. Parent must be involved.
Involved, yes. And I know the children like when we are involved as well. But I do know that there are some children who don't have anybody to come to the school to, you know, to see their teacher and so on. There are those children who don't have anyone to come. And what can you say to, you know, parents who are unable for one reason? It could be work, you know, they're so busy working to earn a living, to support the family. What can you say to parents who
Well, I do empathize with that, and there are some children, some parents, let's say you call a parent-teacher meeting on Wednesday. They cannot come in the morning, they cannot come in the evening. What could be done is perhaps let them tell you when they could make it. I can come next to Friday and you see them, even if you can see them before school calls.
yes.
When I was a principal, 6 o'clock I was in the school, so sometimes I would say, can you come at 6? Yes, sir. Or you stay around later in the evening. Can you come at 5? Can you come at... Because I really wanted to try to meet the parents. So you make some kind of agreement, arrangement. And I found some of them cooperated.
And I find teachers make themselves available to see parents. I have found that as a parent myself, teachers make themselves available. Teachers are real heroes, you know. They are
Wonderful
really,
teachers.
yes. They are
I
really
enjoyed my
heroes.
time teaching, and
Right. The routine of prayer. You know, a lot of times, sometimes we hear the children saying, oh gosh, mommy, we have to say that again. You know, but prayer is a routine. And, you know, it's not only for now you're teaching. I always say, I'm not teaching you for now. I'm teaching you forever, you know, for a lifetime, so that you know the importance of prayer. What do you have to say about the importance of prayer in school and in the family?
well, life is a routine. You get up in the morning, it's the same sandwich, you know. Lunchtime is the same. You go to school, it's the same Spanish teacher, the same French teacher, the same. It's the sameness in terms of uniform, same clothes you're putting on. Okay. When we come to prayer, it's the same thing. What could be done, and I mean, I'm no expert, but what I used to do is try to make it as much as dynamic as possible. And I think I kind of manage it well.
When you say dynamic, what do you mean?
Well, for example, when I started to teach, I was a religion teacher. So imagine teaching religion full time. Your timetable is only prayers, morning, noon, and night, from 1 to 6. So from one religion class to another. And as you go, same thing as your children will tell you. Oh God, sir, again, the same in the name of the Father. Okay, so one class I would say, I will do doctrine. So we would start with the doctrine, the commandments, the sacraments, the Bible. Then, the other class or 2 classes, I say, we break you up into groups. You will discuss this, you will discuss that, and give me a feedback. Another class, I say, okay, we will meet in the chapel for devotion before the Blessed Sacrament. And of course, oh God, I sit down before the Blessed Sacrament for 40 minutes, boring. I said, fine, 3 of you all will do this song, 5 of you all will lead this rosary. So I used to try to mix it, get them involved. Again, too, what I did is, let me hear what you all like. I, boring, is the same prayers. Let me hear what kind of prayers you all like and how you could make that prayers a little less boring. So you get them. Well, we can do this, we can have a skit. But while we do that, we don't just want what we're giving them the content, we're giving them everything. And a little bit dynamic, because young people like to be moving around. Once you sit down for 5-7 minutes, they get bored. And So I found, and I worked that with great success. I would say I enjoyed teaching. I
Good.
enjoyed my time. So you had that. Then when it's, well, Lent, you have some special program, retreats, seminars for students as well as parents. We had workshops, sometimes for teachers, retreat. So the teachers are, then for Lent, we had things like fasting and
Fasting,
alms
yes.
giving and going to visit a home. What I used to do too, I included as much as possible the retreat with a visitation. So we say, okay, we will go to Mount St. Benedict, the famous place for retreat. And you pray in the morning, and then I say in the evening, we're going to visit the home, St. Peter's Home for the Aged. But we are not just going to visit, we're going to go and we're going to put on a little skit. We're going to sing, we're going to do something. Or we're going to visit the hospital. And I found that good. So you're mixing the prayer with the good work, the good deed. When they come back now, the next week, I say, let's see how it went, the reflection, could we, and then you write a little something and you can tell the wider school body what has happened. So you have retreat, you have seminars. Month of Our Lady, May, Rosary Devotion. You must have a Hail Mary. You have that, then you have a procession. When it's coming time, June, coming to Corpus Christi, we focus on the Eucharist. So we have that and we follow the life cycle of the church.
Of the church. I know when the mother spoke about Rosary Fridays, you know, I
Correct.
found that, yeah,
You
that
have your
struck me.
Friday, you must have your chapelet. Then, Mass, you have Mass,
Yes, weekly Mass, you know.
confession, then we had school. Well, I was there full time, so class Mass, Form 1, then Form 1, you had 1A, 1S, then you go, and they would prepare the Mass. So you get them involved. Who is going to do the reading? Who will do the second reading? Who will sing the psalm? What songs do you have? What is your reflection on the gospel? Of course, as the priest, I am guiding. So it is not just what they are saying. I'm listening to them, taking what they are saying, and based on and we mix them together. And so we have something beautiful.
I remember last year, I think it was, at home, we did the Stations of the Cross, you know, through the bedrooms, through the living room, and so on. And I remember how excited they were, you know, first to find the different stations. Now, we didn't know what the stations were at the beginning. But as we moved along in the house, we discovered stations. And I remember how interested they became, you know, in the Stations of the Cross. So while in the school, they're teaching Stations of the Cross and fasting and so on, at home, you know, it's being strengthened.
Correct.
Yes, reinforced.
Very good.
And strengthened in the home. As the children prepare in some schools, the children prepare for First Communion at school.
Confirmation.
And confirmation as well?
Sometimes, in some schools, sometimes.
Confirmation in some schools. But I know as the child comes home with the books, and, you know, Mommy, we're doing this today, you know, it's during Lent, Mommy, we're fasting, no meat, Mommy. You know, I would talk about no meat on a particular day. Mommy, Miss said no meat on Fridays, you know.
That's it.
Mommy, can you give us some fish or tuna on Wednesdays? You know what I'm saying? You'll have to take what you get, you know. So, you know, the school, once the school is able to work with the home, there can be such harmony and so much can take place, reinforcement of behaviors, of positive behaviors. There was another thing, experience and exposure to children. The children were involved in church activities, you know, the importance of service, you know, and being involved in activities. So it's not just about academia alone and praying alone, but, you know, it's a whole child that you have, you know. So we have to think about the child in his or her entirety. During exam time, the importance of prayer during exam time. What can you say, you know, what can you offer to parents with respect to the importance of prayer during exams?
Well, what I would like to say is that prayer should really be a part of our lives, whether or not there is an exam. So if you're praying Monday to Friday and Sunday and Saturday, when exam time comes, of course, what you do is you accelerate your prayer. Like the Master himself in the Garden of Gethsemane, he prayed even more fervently. But if you're not accustomed praying when exam time comes around, then fussing and you're fishing, how to say the rosary, how to do this, you go to church and you... But if you are accustomed with your rosary, you're accustomed reading your Bible, reading the Psalms, reading your prayers, when exam time comes, you yourself will be able to say, Monday, I will say the rosary. Tuesday, I will fast. Wednesday, I will read the Bible. Understand? So we need to really let parents know, let students know, prayer must be a daily activity, not just when it's exam alone.
I always say, prayer is a way of life.
A
Just as you
way of
breathe,
life.
you need to drink water, you need to eat to nourish your body, you need to pray. Prayer is a way of life. But that is something as parents we need to teach. And the school certainly, Catholic schools certainly reinforce that. But the Catholic school where my children go to.
Prayers morning, noon, and night.
So, there's always sometimes there are differences between boys. Well, not sometimes. There are differences between boys and girls and how parents treat each other. So we're going to look at the Baptiste family again, where one of the daughters talks about the father's conversation on the phone and the whole issue of dealing with technology, which is something as parents we have to. It's not if, buts, or maybes anymore. We have to deal with the issue of technology in the home. So let's go to the clip now and look at what the family has to say on technology.
Make sure somebody walk with you, make sure you stay by the side, make sure you're safe, she's calm. I remember when I first entered secondary school.
Yeah, boy. First, that...
I got
First day of school, Ariane. Your sister in class? Okay, she okay? She have everything? They call me first day of school, first day of school just drop me off. I'll see you later.
I got called.
She get a call every day. Make sure you talk to her about getting her on the maxi, and it's like, she will get on the maxi.
I got called every day in class to make sure I am okay, to make sure I have all my books, to make sure I'm good, to make sure I'm comfortable. And some days, I think that was when the phone even home started. Because sometimes I was leaving the phone home, I wouldn't get calls, so I think I should leave the phone home. And even then, like, my granny was here and she's like, "Man, who phone is that? That phone ringing all the time in the morning." I was like, "That's Daddy." So that's when I really started to leave the phone home, but yeah.
You tell daddy when you reach, tell daddy when you leave. Is it? That's it. Daddy, not calling you halfway, don't even know max.
I call her.
Find out where you reach. Okay, you might do that for the girls, but not for me.
The tricks children play on us, with the phone, with the technology, the tricks they play, period, What are some tricks, Father, you encountered in school?
Well, boy, if I begin to tell you, what I feel should be done and could be done is parents, adults, let's partner with the children. Technology is here to stay.
It is.
So let's partner with them. By that I mean, we are not giving in, Let us have some parameters. When you come home, okay, you have your phone. When you're playing your little sports, your phone is on. We are saying prayers. What is the arrangement? And let them tell you. Phone should be off. Right now we on this show, phone is off. So let them know. This hour of prayer, no phone. We are going to church, we're leaving the phone. Let them. Because we must be able to teach them how to use technology responsibly. Same thing when you're on the internet. Okay, you have 2 hours on internet to do your schoolwork and only schoolwork. So I don't want to see anything other than schoolwork there. And that's where now the presence of the parent, you're there supervising, not eavesdropping or, monitoring in a kind of a sneaky way, but you're engaging. What is that? What is that website you're on? Let me see. It's interesting. So you're conversing, you're hearing. And even if they fall into some trouble, they look at a website, you call them in and use that moment for teaching.
Teaching, yes.
Why were you on this? What is happening? Perhaps the child is seeking information that you are not giving. Okay, let me explain. This is what takes place. When you involve and you're into that kind of, this is what happens. So you use that moment for teaching. So they're on the cell phone and they should be praying or they're texting somebody. What was the arrangement we made? because we cannot be watching them 24/7. Mind you, we have to understand the world is very volatile, Trinidad. I mean, so many ugly things happening. We have to be very, concerned about our children. But when you, as a parent, when you keep calling your child morning, noon, and night, and I am the teacher in the class, hello, is my daddy. I have no notion. And I mean, why are you? If there is something, write a little note, this is a state, my child is not feeling well, so, the child has to go to a doctor, and therefore I'll be coming to pick her up or him at 2 o'clock or 12 o'clock. So I would say proper dialogue, regular dialogue, meaningful, consistent dialogue, I think may be able to help us with this kind of technology.
And sometimes it's not only for the children, it's also for the parents, because sometimes we're praying and the parents texting,
Well,
so
we have to practice.
we have to practice what we preach. But the technology, as you said, is here to stay, and we need to learn the technology. A lot of parents are afraid, afraid to get on to, they have the phone. I remember in terms, I had a challenge once where one of the children was exposed to some things in school, and when I went in to speak, to make some inquiries as to what was going on, I remember one of the administrators saying that, yes, the school has Wi-Fi, but a lot of parents are upgrading their phones and not giving their Me Too phones, because parents don't have Me Toos, but they're giving their expensive phones to the children, who then come into the school and is able to pick up the Wi-Fi and get involved in things that they should not be getting into. We have a program at the Commission called, in collaboration with Cotton Tree Foundation, we look at internet safety program, where we have a psychologist, Dr. Karen Moore, and an IT specialist. We're looking at the whole pros and cons and the impact of the technology on a child's behavior. Maybe we can look at now at the clip where the mother discusses technology and talks about the whole aspect of parenting and dealing with the challenges of the technology again.
In terms of gadgets and dealing with how they incorporate into their daily lives, we never really gave them the opportunity to have gadgets. I know sometimes they feel, mommy and daddy wouldn't get us these set of iPads and Xbox and all these different things that would be fads from time to time. Our eldest child was promised a phone when she did very well in her SEM. When she passed the SEA, she was promised a phone then, and she never got the phone until she got into Form 4. And at that time, it was, I think, BlackBerry. It was the phone of the day, and she was, I need to get a BlackBerry. Everybody had a BlackBerry, and she didn't have it. And then I remember when Yosef came and he told me that he would give her permission to go on Facebook. I was paranoid. I was like, how are you going to let her go on Facebook? Because I am not on any of these social media. Sorry to say, not that I don't think that they have their pros and their cons, but for me, I just find it's just more of my time to do something that I don't really have time to do anyway. So for them, we don't really have that influence or influx of gadgets that can really distract them. Well, from time to time, we check the phone, we check the laptops, so you have to be on top of it. We're not going to be on top of it all the time. We realize that. We have had a couple incidents, but one or two of them, the school has had to call us in, either for somebody being a little bit rude, or somebody being in the company of boys that were giving trouble, and therefore, their name got called, and you had to deal with that. You have to deal with it. It's part of parenting. But in terms of the social media and dealing with all these things, I think we're good for now. And it's because they're involved in a lot of things outside of school. So therefore their time for that sort of activity is very, very small. And I think, as parents, if we encourage our children to do things they like, so you get them involved in extracurricular. Some people tell me, you don't get tired, you're always on the road, but you know what, I prefer that. To be tired of running on the road, picking up, dropping off, that sort of thing. And have to be constantly telling a child, get off the computer, get off the iPad, find something to do with your time, So that has really been one of the ways that we have helped them in terms of managing those electronic devices and the influence of that into the home.
Managing devices in the home. I know we didn't buy a lot of the devices that came into our home. It was given as gifts from other family members. And so a lot of times we have to try to manage the iPad, the tablet, the laptop, the game, the this, the that, the other. And while we think as parents sometimes, I don't feel this way, that it helps children to concentrate. To me, it's a distraction at times. It has its place, and we allow it with, you can have 20 minutes on the iPad. You can have, and it's teaching boundaries. It's teaching, as you said, parameters for children. You can't play with it all the time. You know, there's a time to play with it, just as there's time to play football, time to play cricket, time to eat, there's time to play on the iPad or tablet. You know, what do you have to say to parents, Father, with respect to all these gadgets in the home now, taking up a lot of the time?
Well, first of all, I don't think we should allow it to overwhelm us. The gadgets are there, and we could work with the children and say, okay, we come back to the prayer. We're saying the rosary. You know, they find that boring. Well, could you find the mysteries of the rosary on the phone? And you read out the first mystery, you read the second. We want to do something, the Stations of the Cross. How many Stations of the Cross are there? Could you find them for me on the phone? We want to say our night prayer. Let's look for John chapter 17. We want to read the priestly prayer of Jesus. Find it on the phone. You read a little part. Okay. After you have read part on the phone, turn it off. You read other part from the Bible as well. So we're not saying everything must come from the phone. So we read a little part and we say, okay, put it down. Now we will read this other part from the Bible. We look at the mystery. Now let's look at the prayer book, because we have to know to say prayers from the prayer book as well. So I would, and that's just the religion. If it's a social work they have to do, social studies, you read your social studies book. Okay, let's see if we can find part of it on the internet, So we are working. And in terms of supervising, I think it is just as you want to supervise their work. Let me see your math book. Let me see, what did you do in sports today? What did you do in football? What did you do in cricket? How is the playing of the pan going? Let me see your iPad. What is it? Let me see the websites.
A lot of times they can teach us, you
Correct.
know, a lot of time they can teach us a lot of what
So
we
we have
learn.
that good,
rapport,
yes.
rapport, you know.
And it's not, you see, if we oppose and say, don't, well, then we're into trouble.
Yes.
How could we help you? Come on. You know more about this, assist me. I want to learn more. And you have that camaraderie, parent and children. We're not fighting, because if we start to fight with them, then they start to fight, and then we have World War VII.
Yes.
Let's see how well we can partner with you. We made an agreement, no time for cell phone now. Okay, no cell phone, no phone calls because we are eating, or as the case may be.
Yes, I know, you know, in terms of this whole aspect of school and media, you know, the children have gotten laptops in the school,
Yeah.
and a lot of times parents are afraid because they're not sure what is on the laptops, you know. But I think if parents allow children to show them, you know, the different apps and so on, not just on the laptops but on the phones, because a lot of times parents have phones, the children are on playing games. In school, you know, the more they're able to use the technology, sometimes, you know, it helps them in their projects, because a lot of the projects that come home now, you have to use the computer to type it up or to do research, you know. Before it was Britannica Encyclopedia in my time, that dates me. But now it tells you, you know, you can go and Google, you know, if there's a word, sometimes, you know, they may be reading a book or doing something. Mommy, what does that word mean? Well, Google it. You know, Google it and find out. Mommy, can I use your phone to download something?
Google
Do,
text,
you know,
that's their jargon, and we have to really assist them.
Yes, and
they
work
would
around.
assist us.
And
We're
they will
working
teach
along.
us.
Correct.
They will teach us, because a lot of the, you know, I was hearing, a friend told me that, you know, the teacher uses YouTube videos, you know, to help, you know, teach the lesson to the children, to reinforce, not to teach, but to reinforce the lesson where children are able to see. You know, because all children are not just visual learners. Some are auditory, some are kinesthetic. And, you know, we have to become mindful of how our children learn by observing them, and able to pull out their strengths and their weaknesses using the technology.
There are many things they can do, and I think we need to highlight the good, the positive in technology. technology, and we do it even at the church. We use the little PowerPoint, we use the text message, right? So let us not be afraid of it and try to, fight, but rather let's see the good. We highlight the positive, we highlight the good, and we leave the negative.
But we have to address the negatives at times, Father. We have
Well,
to
of course,
yes,
right.
address
We
it,
sit and we discuss. This is what I have seen. Now let us discuss what is happening here on this iPad, on this phone. That's the conversation I heard you carrying on with on Facebook. I don't think that is proper. How do you think it could be? And you're letting them, you're listening to hear what solution, what ideas they have to remedy it. I don't like that, friend. I don't, what's happening here? Let's discuss it. Let's talk it out. So I'm not just saying to just put the negative and we focusing on the positive. The negatives arise. Sure, we are going to deal with it. That's not a good channel to look at. That I don't think this should be. So we are guiding them. And of course, it is a process. As we say with the prayer, as we say with the academics, all these things are part of life. So we just can't say, well, look, well, the child is big now, no prayer. Well, you're big now, I wouldn't monitor. You're a child, but still we need to monitor. Of course, in a different way as how we would monitor someone in primary school.
Yes, with the technology, mommy who the children spend a lot of time with, we're doing this course, Internet Safety Program, and I said, because when they're by mommy, they're on her iPad and they have a lot of gadgets in that house as well. I said, Mommy, I really want to invite you to come and be a part of this course as well, so that you can learn. And as the children come on, you know to check the history, what they're looking at, what they're not looking at, and so on. And educate yourself too, because you are with them and you want to know what it is. And they want to teach you. So, it's good for you to become aware as to what's happening with the technology. So, as we draw to an end of tonight's program, we want to look at one more a vox pop, someone that we spoke with on the street, a young man that distressed children go through during SCA. As SCA is approaching, it's in May, and a lot of times, parents, and as a parent myself, SCA can be a real challenge. So having to cope with it, I remember I was talking with a friend today, and she said to me, my son is quite cool, calm, and collective with respect to this SEA. I said, mine too, but sometimes because I feel a bit worked up, and I remember saying to myself before this whole SEA thing started that, I'm not going to get caught up in the stress of that, but I have to keep reminding myself to stay calm, and he can do it. I know he can do it. I'm there with him, and, just help him along the way, guiding him and so on. As we talked about dealing with stress on parents, but, children feed off of us, and we have to be mindful of that. And I think the school has a big part to play too in terms of helping children deal with the stress, teachers in particular. What do you have to say about stress on teachers?
Well, again, do you have teachers perhaps who don't understand the whole life of the child? So you come in there, you teach your work, and you expect to you give your homework, but we have to think of the child. Studying and getting homework in math, English, geography, Spanish, you have extracurricular activity. So as a teacher, we have to study the mind of the child and don't put an extra trouble and burden. I think learning should be fun. Let's make learning happy. Children, when they reflect, they should be able to say, I was happy in my primary school. Secondary school is a joy. I enjoyed learning rather than, well, miss this, so is that. So I want to make an appeal to all of us, teachers, parents, adults, to let us try to make learning a happy place. When we talk, so children would be eager to go to school and learn. Learning should really be happy. And when I talk about happy, it's not just, oh God, we sit down in the classroom and we are bored and then we are happy on the sport field. We are in the classroom and we are engaged. As a result, we are happy because we feel we are contributing. In terms of the SEA, I think it would stay with us, that stress, because I know what's the fundamental. Well, I shouldn't say I know. I think I have an idea. I want my child to pass for a good school. because no parent want the child to pass for a school that they may think is not good. And I mean, that's reality. So wherever you live, you want your child to pass for a good school. And you're really anxious. You know your child can do it, but just in case that child doesn't pass for a good school, then the disappointment at that age comes in. So, but it is there. That is our education system, and we don't have control. So we have to try to teach the children, look, we're aiming for the very best. We are aiming for 1, 2, or 3, just in case by some way. How are we coping with that? Let us learn to accept life.
Yes.
Hard as it is, difficult as it is, so that it would not destroy us. So even if the child didn't do well in the SEA exam, as we expected, as parent, as adult, as teachers, okay, it is not the end of the world.
Yes.
And when we say that, we're not just giving you that. It is, we are here, as we said earlier on, to support and journey with you. We are here to support you. We are here to journey with you. We will go along. And you didn't do good at C, you pick up again. Life doesn't end at age 11.
I remember when I did common entrance at the time, I didn't pass for my first choice. And I remember how disappointed I was. But I said to my mother, I said, Mommy, even though I didn't pass my first choice, I want you to send me. I passed for junior second, my first attempt. And I said, Mommy, please send me. I will get into my first choice. I will do the entrance exam in Form 2 and get into my first choice. I remember I was the only student from a junior sec who wrote that this Form 2 exam to get into the school of my choice, and I got in. You know, and I just said, you just have to work, you have to know what you want. At that age, I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to go to that particular school, and nothing and no one would sway me in terms of what my dream was in life. And, you know, that's what I want to say to parents. Sometimes, you know.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. And I say that to myself as well, that, you know, you keep journeying, you keep talking, your presence, your active presence is what the child needs at this time. You may not be able to do the work, as Father said, you may not, but you just being there, encouraging, how you doing? You want some water? Something like that for those children who may not have anyone. And we are aware that, you know, there are some parents who are not around, or maybe at work or so. There are a lot of grandparents, neighbors raising children. You know, we really want to encourage you. It's our children. It's not just my children. It's our children, like it's our father. It's our children. So we, you know, we need to give the support. You may have a friend, or you may see a child doing, you know, on the street and the parents are not there, and you are home, you know, you can offer some guidance. How can I assist? Ask the parent, you know, how can I assist in helping your child with homework or something like that? So, you know, when you talked about school being fun and learning being fun, you know, it empowers children. So as we draw to the end of the program, Father, I would really like to thank you for being a part of the program today. I'd like to thank the Joseph family, Ariane, Gervais, Celine Marie, Maya, Marie-Elise, Emmanuel, Joseph, and Simone for really sharing your time, your talent with us, and to close the program tonight. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for looking on and being a part of tonight's program. We're going to close off tonight's program with a little pan. You know, Celine Marie is going to share her talent with us on the pan. Thank you and good night.